Joining us now is Jeremy Siegel, Professor Emeritus of Finance at University of Pennsylvania's Wharton School of Business, Chief Economist at Wisdom Tree. Jeremy, I hate, you probably aren't happy to say I told you so either, given what we're witnessing. But you thought the Fed was staying at, once again, for the second time, staying at the party too long and too restrictive.
Absolutely. And, this may surprise people. I'm calling for 75 basis point emergency cut in the Fed funds rate with another 75 basis point cut indicated for next month at the September meeting. And that's minimum. The Fed funds rate right now should be somewhere between, 3.5% and 4%. Let me give you very simple logic of my position here. At the June meeting, the Fed has said that the long run Fed funds rate, when inflation reached 2% and unemployment has come up to 4.2%, should be 2.8. That's the normal. 2.8 is the normal Fed funds rate. Well, on Friday, we blew across the employment number. We're at 4.3. That even argues for a lower one. Now, as far as inflation, we're at 2.5%. We've gone down 90% towards the target on the inflation rate. We've overshot the target on the employment. Those are the two targets explicitly mentioned by the Federal Reserve. All right. And how much have we moved the Fed funds rate? 0. That makes absolutely no sense whatsoever.
If we, Jeremy, there's no way we're getting 75 and then another 75. If we do, I don't want to see what's happening in the stock market if the Fed is compelled to do 75 twice. So it's not going to happen. But you're saying that they should. What do you really think will happen? You think they'll do an intermeeting?
They're not going to do 75. Listen, I remember 2000 when Greenspan did 50. And by the way, the market wasn't scared. The market rallied sharply. It was the same thing. December, they should have cut. They didn't cut, and the market said, you should have. And they did an emergency cut a few weeks later. The market made a strong rally from that position. Listen, Joe, don't think that the Fed knows something like, we're afraid the Fed knows something. Since when has the Fed known anything about the economy?
We don't need to worry about anyone thinking that the Fed.
No, not at all. I mean, look what happened 3 years ago.
Right.
I mean, the market knows so much better than the Fed. So, I mean, they've got to respond. Listen, their own stated normal Fed funds rate when we hit targets is 2.8. They're basically at the target. And there's a lag in monetary policy.
So, Jeremy, let's say they do that.
Take a look at the Taylor rule. Take a look at any of the rules right now. They're all 150 basis points lower.
Let's say that Jay Powell came out and before September, an emergency meeting comes out and he lowers the rate. Does the market rip, or does the market say, oh, my goodness, it's worse than we even thought?
It rips. It welcomes it. Absolutely. Because it's so far behind the curve right now. The Fed is up in the
But that's why I'm saying maybe it doesn't rip. Maybe people say, oh, goodness.
No.
If they're willing to make an emergency cut today, boy, there's got to be something around the corner.
That's not going to happen today necessarily.
Not today. I'm saying in the next couple weeks.
I mean, it could happen, and I think it should. I think they should say, listen, we're taking a look at listen, you take a look at the data. It is not at all comforting. I mean, the hiring employment part of the ISM that we got was just absolutely horrible. I mean, forget about the SOM rules and all that are predicting recession. I'm looking at the Fed's own data and the Fed's own written policy, 2.8 when we are at and near the target. They overblew one target, and they're 90% towards the other target. Period.
Jeremy, we there's no reason to think, given how long it took to move off of zero, there's no reason to think that they're going to take your advice on this. Maybe they do, but maybe not. What if they don't? Then the S&P right now is only down 6% from the highs. The Dow's only down 4%. Nasdaq's down 10%. I mean, what do you how do you think the market will react if it doesn't look like the Fed's going to do anything before September?
I think the market will react badly, very honestly. I mean, if they're going to be as slow on the way down as they were on the way up, which, by the way, was the worst policy error in 50 years, then we're not in for a good time with this economy. And the Fed has to recognize. I mean, I'm just restating their own written policy. 2.8 normal Fed funds. They haven't moved 1 basis point. They're nearly twice what their normal Fed funds is.